Hey everyone, it's been a little while since the Rings of Power teaser trailer was released, so today we're taking a closer look at all the little details I might have missed in the first video. Overall, the trailer still looks really cool, but it has a ton of room for interpretation, and there are plenty of questions to ask about what's actually happening in Arda. In this opening scene, I initially thought it might have been Valinor, the almost mythical city of the elves and gods in Lord of the Rings, but in taking a closer look, I'm pretty sure it's actually Numenor, the lost kingdom of men. There are a few key giveaways for me here, including the style of architecture not really resembling that of Elven's craftsmanship. Let's compare it to Rivendell, which has lofty and airy buildings with open arches and windows everywhere, as well as being like a look that's a part of nature as opposed to being built out of nature. The buildings in this trailer are blockier with like really flat walls, straight lines, and really small windows. And this could be wildly off base, but the large statue overlooking the harbor bears a resemblance to the Argonath, the two massive statues that the Fellowship passed through while traveling down the river Anduin on the way to Gondor. If this is Numenor, it could be either the cities of Romena or Eldalande, based on a small map that was released with some Rings of Power promotional images. The next scene is actually one of my favorites because it makes zero sense. It's the one with the elk walkers. Why are they carrying these massive elk horns? Where are they going? Where are they in general? Who knows? I've seen theories that they're not actually giant elk horns, they're regular horns, but on like a Harfoot or like a hobbit-sized folk, which is a possibility. We do know that giant elk exist though, as the Elven King Thranduil rode one into battle in the Battle of Five Armies, so it's not much of a stretch to assume that this could be them. These elk, as far as we know, live near Mirkwood, which around this time was actually known as the Greenwood, and is nestled between the Misty Mountains and the Lonely Mountain, so this would be fairly far east. And then we have this shot of what appears to be two Harfoots, or one of the two Harfoots, an ancestor of the Hobbits, and for the sake of clarity, we'll just continue calling them Hobbits from now on. This is Markella Kavanaugh as one of the Hobbits, but we don't really know what she's doing. She seems to be talking to someone, or I guess listening to someone talk, and then kinda smiling at them. She doesn't seem too sure, so maybe she doesn't really know the person that well or even trust them that much. After that, there's the massive cascading waterfall around a snowy mountainous region. After that sweeping shot, it cuts to Galadriel leaping from one part of the icy wall to another and using her dagger to catch herself. She seems to be climbing directly next to the waterfall, which I don't know much about ice wall climbing, but I feel like maybe that's not the best idea. Galadriel is followed by at least three other characters climbing up the ice wall. My first guess is this some part of the crossing of the grinding ice region far to the north that connects Valinor to Beleriand and the rest of Middle-earth, and if that's the case, Galadriel could be part of a vanguard of elves trying to find a safe way for thousands of other elves crossing the deadly region after the Kingslaying. However, at the time that the elves crossed, the two trees of Valinor were destroyed, and the sun has not yet been created, but in the background you can clearly see the sun between the clouds. So when and where this is happening is still unknown, and we likely won't find out until the show releases. This area could be the Northern Wastes, but why she's there and what she's doing is still unknown. A couple other details to point out here, including the dagger that Galadriel has, the same one from the poster, and on her shoulder are two stars, which could represent Arendelle, which given her connection to the star makes sense. This next scene has the shipwreck that Galadriel and the new character Halbrand are stranded on. Why are they on the boat together? Who knows at this point? I'm very curious as to how the two of them got in that situation and what they were doing that caused the crash, and why they're both stranded together, and why they're the last two survivors. After that, we have this incredible shot of an elf grabbing an arrow out of the air just before it hits somebody and firing it back at the attacker. Absolutely amazing. This is actually Ismael Cruz Cordova playing Arondir, a Sylvan elf, and apparently the greatest archer in the world. I actually can't wait to see more like supernatural elven stuff to happen. We kind of saw that with Legolas doing things that other mortals couldn't, like walking on top of snow or seeing really far, but I hope Rings of Power drops some absolutely wild elven antics. Next up is an odd shot of a meteorite streaking across the sky. We think it's a meteorite because it strikes the ground and is relatively intact based on another scene later in the trailer. There's the shot of an elf who seems to be watching the meteorite, or it's cut to make us think he's watching it. If you notice, the trees are green when the meteorite's passing, and in the shot with the elf, it's actually surrounded by yellow leaves on the ground, likely those of a melon tree. This is actually Gil-galad, played by Benjamin Walker, the Lord of Lindon, and the High King of the Noldor Elves. And if those are Melorn trees he's actually standing around, He's probably in Lorien at this time. The next scene is Galadriel racing across a field on horseback with what looks like an army behind her. I say army because the horses are clad in armor, so I don't think they're people fleeing from something or just like regular elves. And we do know that Galadriel is leading a war at some point, or at least leading battles. I don't think there's any significance to this, but she seems to be the only one with a white horse, while everyone else seems to have like darker colored horses. Maybe they're trying to suggest that the horse that she's on is part of the Mira's horses, like Shadowfax that Gandalf rode. It's unlikely, but it could be a hint. And then quickly following is a shot of an elf before some type of troll-looking monster. Yeah, it could be Galadriel, but I'm not super confident on it since it doesn't really look like her. After that, it's like a lot of really fast scenes, including what looks like a council is being held around Malorn trees. There are several people in white robes here, and what looks like one large figure in like a gold cape, possibly over some type of armor since it looks pretty bulgy. Further back in the trees, there are more people, some in white, others in these weird ombre gold colors, while the people in front of the person in gold appear to be kneeling or sitting in some way. So it could be some type of like crowning ceremony. After that, there's a red-headed dwarf, Durin IV, played by Owain Arthur. He looks upset about something, but there's no way to tell what he's really upset about. The next shot is Elrond, played by Robert Arreo. He looks pretty angry. It kind of looks like he might be in the middle of Khazad-dûm here. It's really dark, lots of stones, some type of red glow. Right after that is the dwarf princess Disa, played by Sophie Nomvetti. She's in ornate gold armor, and if you look closely at her left hand in the shot, there's something on her hand, possibly like a really intricate tattoo. She seems to be singing in the scene, but we can't hear anything, so it's impossible to really tell right now. Then there's a shot of Galadriel and Halbrand back on that shipwreck. Halbrand seems to be not kindly moving Galadriel's hair out of the way to reveal her pointed ears. Was she hiding the fact that she's an elf from him? Does he hate elves? Could he be the victim of Feanor's war in some way, so he distrusts elves, and we do know that he's running away from something in his past, so could that be it? The next scene is all fire and brimstone and makes very little sense. Some fans online speculate that this person here in the crater is actually what the meteorite was that was streaking across the sky earlier. If you watch closely, some force is causing the rocks and rubble around him to rise into the air as he grabs the arm of another individual. My guess here is that we're seeing one of the Valar descending to Arda, but who knows. After that fiery scene is what appears to be Durin IV breaking a large rock clean open, surrounded by a bunch of other dwarves. My guess in the last video was that maybe this is how they discover Mithril for the first time, and I'll stick with it since there's not really much else to go on looking closer. Next up is this leaping shot of an elf catapulting through the air. There's kind of a lot happening here, but if you look at his legs, he's actually bound to a chain. And as he's coming closer to the platform, I don't think he's attacking anyone. I think he's trying to use the axe as a hook to grapple onto the edge. The teaser cuts to a much darker shot of a battle scene with a golden-clad army of elves and what looks like an army of orcs. General speculation is that this elf here in the center is actually Finrod, one of Galadriel's brothers. He's clearly shouting at something off-screen, maybe trying to reach someone across the battlefield. Taking a closer look at the shot, it's actually really, really cool that they're using practical effects and not CGI like the Hobbit films did for all the orcs. And this last shot looks like an adult holding a child's hand. The adult is wearing the same kind of wool sweater that one of the teaser posters with the apple was wearing. What's happening is actually unknown. I've seen people talk about this could be a Hobbit hand, but I think it's too much of a childlike hand. And for now, that's everything we have in the teaser trailer. Until more information comes out, we'll just have to wait and see what Amazon has in store for Lord of the Rings fans. I'm personally psyched as heck for the show and can't wait to see more. But what are you looking forward to see in Rings of Power? Let me know in the comments below what you saw in the trailer or if there's anything that I might have missed. Thanks to everyone who watched my first video, and thanks again for watching Age of the Trees.